Last weekend, we went to a place called Los Buenos Muchachos, which is this place where you eat like piles of food. Um, if you eat animals, it's like piles of steak and sausage on this grill thing that they bring out. And if you're like me, it's a pile of vegetables too. It's still a lot, and there's lots of long tables in them. And someone told me who'd been to Germany that there are lots of places in Germany that are formatted like that, where you have these long tables and lots of place settings, of course, and just I can't describe how many rows. Anyway, and there were like levels of them. And there's a stage down below, and people do popular dance on the stage. I mean, like hired dancer people do popular dance. They do Polynesian dance and indigenous dances, I think. A lot of polka-looking stuff, and and then like a band starts playing and the public begins to dance, and the kind of transitions out, and then you have more popular contemporary dance stuff and some really like top 40-ish like United Statesian music, and so we were out dancing with everybody for a while, and then they had this thing where it was like coordinated dance, like not like, it's different than line dancing. It's kind of like Jane Fonda aerobics of dance. So it's a medley of all these different songs and costume changes and stuff that happen on the stage, and then the people in the audience are in this big dance floor following along and like doing steps and moves and stuff. And this is like, I mean, if you've ever like, you know, partied with me or anything, because I love this kind of thing. So, so there's this guy up there, like, okay, you do this, and you do this, and I'm just like, yay, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and there's a whole horde of us doing this all together, and then he would, like, run to one side, and then everybody would follow him, they'd be like, no, and then we'd all run to one side, and then he'd run to the other side of the stage, and the whole crowd would, like, run, and it was an amazing exercise of crowd control, or lack thereof. It was awesome. So I did that for a while, and then afterward, we decided to go to a disco, which is like a dance bar, and we went to Bella Vista, which John told me to go to, and it's kind of like an art district in the middle of being gentrified, like a poor neighborhood with lots of students and artists and stuff. It's close to the University of Chile's law school, and we went to La Branja, which was like a hip-hop club, and it was so awesome. I haven't been to something like that since I was like 20 years old, and I met this guy named Jorgito there, and I danced a little bit. But the dancing is kind of subdued, the popular dance of Santiago. I didn't see that much like grinding. I mean, there was a little bit of like contact with the same kind of motion, but no like full on. You know, I didn't see any anyways. And the dancing was less like, not as much like break dancery type stuff, but I really liked it because it was easy to do. So yes, that was really nice. And today I had kind of an adventure. I was alone in my apartment, and Dara and I have been trying to figure out the heater for a couple days, and so I was like, I'm gonna figure out the heater. It's cold. So I tried to do the heater, and it didn't work. So I went to Mauricio's apartment, this dude that told us that we could come to his apartment if we ever need anything. And I asked him, how does the heater work? And he showed me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to try this heater thing. He's like, all right, good luck. And so I do this, and it still doesn't work. And so then I go over to his place again, and he tries to get it to work, and he can't. We just end up talking, waiting for it to maybe work later. And we were just talking about our lives, and he was teaching me Spanish. And he asked me, after he found out that I was in a law program here and stuff, and that Chile is in the midst of a judicial reform, if I think that Chile will ever be able to achieve the greatness of the United States in terms of economic success, or if the Chilenos are just a bunch of Indios who will never be able to do that. And I've been really sad. I mean, after reading Chua and De Soto in class, and about the pigmentocracy and being familiar with this concept of a caste system associated with race and economic class, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. It's terrible to hear that comes out of someone's mouth, and maybe the analogs come out of people's mouths all the time in the United States. It's just that I'm familiar with them, and I don't, it doesn't take me aback. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't really answer his question because I didn't want to fall inside that framework. I didn't want to say either you will achieve the greatness of the United States or you are just a bunch of Indios who cannot, right? This is not a binary I buy into. So instead, I just said, well, the United States has an economic model of perpetual growth, and we live on a finite planet. And Chile doesn't exist in a vacuum, I said. And I don't think that I was able to figure out what vacuum was in Spanish. So I said that Chile exists in a relationship, a global relationship, with other countries, and its policies and powers in those countries affect what Chile does, and vice versa. So that way it took some of the kind of responsibility for like failures off of whatever is conceived as failures. I mean, Pinochet, like that regime was I would say a failure. It was an epic fail. But I don't think the Chilenos deserve the burden of that responsibility given the intervention of the United States. So I didn't say that explicitly, but I said that we have to realize that that our planet has a finite number of resources. We have to learn how to manage them, and we started talking about the Mapuches and like different concepts of property and how we can learn from the Mapuches methods of managing resources and indigenous methods in general, and that copying the United States isn't necessarily the best bet for prosperity. It isn't the best way to grow the middle class, per se. But who knows how well I communicated that. I don't know if evading it was the best, but with those choices, what do you say?